Most of the tech giants became successful by producing useful products, but surprisingly, it hasn't always been that way. Along the way, they've experimented and tinkered with some bizarre innovations that are so weird, they'll make you wonder what they were thinking. Here are 20 of the weirdest tech products you never knew existed. Number 20. Time Band. Way back in 1991, the CEO of Apple was John Sculley. During his tenure, they developed this idea for something similar to what is now a smartwatch. It's not only huge, it's ugly too. And while it's unclear what features they were thinking of putting into it, perhaps an actual time machine, there's little doubt that Steve Jobs is still laughing about it from above. Number 19. Nintendo Rob. Nintendo's been leading the video console space for decades, but clearly not all their consoles succeeded. Case in point, the Robot Operating Buddy, or ROB, which was an actual working robot for the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1985. It had an NES gamepad input to help players solve game puzzles through flashes from the TV screen and moving its mechanized arms. It only had 2 terrible games that were as entertaining as watching paint dry, such as this one that involved spinning and catching moving gyros. Unsurprisingly, the concept flopped, but at least it allowed Wally to jumpstart his career. Number 18. Nintendo Super Scope. Nintendo continued creating odd contraptions, and by 1992, they'd created this strange gaming weapon. In 1993, U.S. Senator Joe Lieberman said that Super Scope looked too much like an assault weapon, and it was all downhill from there for the Game Blaster. It never achieved great success and interest was limited. Nintendo's Virtual Boy came soon after in 1995, and it appears they were onto something with the virtual reality immersive 3D headgear. They were just way too early, as the technology wasn't quite there as it is today with Oculus gear. Due to the device being very primitive, its demise was inevitable. Number 17. Early Apple computer prototypes. Apple has pioneered computing since its inception, but their designs in the early days were bizarre to say the least. This concept, called the Apple Snow White 2 Americana, was designed in 1982 by former Apple designer Hartmut Esslinger. It featured a small vertical screen, but looked more like a modern-day speaker. Still, there were versions with larger screens like this one, which showed their desire to innovate and be different, way before most people even knew dual monitors was a thing. Moving on to the 90s, they came up with this clear prototype eMate 300, which was a very exciting laptop-style computer that had never been seen before. It featured a transparent case and a pen. Let's not forget the Apple Orchard Green Classic computer. Only 2 were made, so they're quite the collector's item today. Number 16. Apple QuickTake 100 Camera. Apple didn't stop at computers. Their QuickTake 100 camera, launched in 1994, was the first in a series of 3 that were amongst the first consumer digital cameras. In collaboration with Kodak to create the first 2 models and with Fujifilm for the third, the product was discontinued due to poor sales. The camera had a whopping 0.3 megapixels and could be directly connected to an Apple Macintosh or a Microsoft Windows system. Here are some of the high-resolution images it took. It was listed by Time magazine as one of the top 100 greatest and most influential gadgets since 1923. Now, they might call it junk. Number 15. Apple Pippin. Apple's had a go at many tech niches. In 1994, they pushed into the multimedia console market with the Pippin. Japanese toy maker Bandai licensed the Pippin, but by the time they released it, they had Sega Saturn, Sony PlayStation, and Windows-based computers as competition. At a price of $599, which is well over $1,000 in today's money, the Pippin was way too expensive compared to alternatives. The PlayStation, for example, was half the price and even better. Compare the Pippin's Racing Days game with the PlayStation's Gran Turismo, and you can see the Apple console sucked in comparison. It turned out to be a tremendous flop. Apple sold only 42,000 units, compared to the 500,000 units sold by PlayStation in the first 3 days of its console release. So the Pippin was discontinued a year later. Number 14. Early jacks. Apple also designed these early computer jacks that were incredibly bulky, just so they could continuously showcase their logo. Come to think of it, they could have marketed their huge jacks using cereal. Number 13. Kodak Coin. Cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin is a fast-growing technology utilizing blockchain technology. Turns out, photographic film company Kodak has recently launched a cryptocurrency for its own unique purpose. Crypto mining devices are rented out by Kodak to crawl the web searching for photographs that have been misused without a license and then compensate photographers. The plan was announced in January of 2018, and Kodak's stock price tripled in 2 days following the announcement. Number 12. Mama Bear. Now let's talk about Amazon. It's known for its humble beginnings selling books and growing into a billion-dollar company. Today, however, it owns so many companies and brands, you'd have trouble memorizing them all. Some of the strangest include Amazon's Mama Bear line, which sells organic baby food, diapers, clothing, and even breastfeeding soothing gels. Amazon truly is the one place you can go to buy literally anything. Number 11. Selfie Toaster. People are obsessed with taking selfies and posting them all over the internet. But when the internet fad finally goes away, what will we do then? Put selfies on toast, of course. The Vermont Novelty Toaster Corporation has created the Selfie Toaster. Just send them your selfie photo and they'll create a metal plate to slide into your toaster that produces an image of you on your breakfast. What better way is there to spend a morning than taking a bite out of your own face? In case you were wondering, yes, you can get it on Amazon. Number 10. Pavlok. Do any of you have bad habits you want to eliminate, like smoking or nail biting? Well, it's shockingly easy with this device. The Pavlok looks like an ordinary Fitbit, but that's where the similarity ends. This device can alter your behavior. When you take a cigarette puff, it delivers a shock that'll make you change your mind about that smoke. They claim that 75% of smokers who used it quit smoking in less than 5 days and remained smoke-free after 6 months. You can also get an alarm clock version to help you avoid those snooze buttons and wake from bed with a jolt of energy. Literally. Happy electrocution! Number 9. Robot Pole Dancer. After a shocking start to the day, you might like some dancing. These robot pole dancers were created by Tobit Software out of Germany for no obvious purpose other than to put pole dancers out of existence. First they wanted to replace our police, and now they want our pole dancers too? I like fake boobs as much as the next person, but I draw the line at robo-boobs. Turns out they may have been inspired after Sony tried this in 2007 with the Sony Rolly. It was a speaker that could jump, roll, and dance with choreography through a special software. While the product isn't sold in America any longer, it can still be found in some countries. Number 8. Actimates. Sometimes Microsoft likes to do things the creepy way. When they do, we get things like Actimates. This was a collaboration with the makers of Barney, Arthur, and Teletubbies, as if Tinky Winky wasn't weird enough. Actimates lasted from 1997 to 2000, and it was a great holiday gift success during its run. The toy could interact with a TV or a special computer pack to provide children with simple yes or no responses. It's not clear why the product was discontinued, but the creepy factor remains to this day. Number 7. Samsung Tea Machine. While Samsung is known as the leader in smartphone production, it seems there are other aspects of their business that are not so well known. Samsung commercial-sized tea and coffee machines can be found if you look hard enough. This particular machine was found in an ancient Buddhist temple in Seoul, South Korea, called the Bonggunsa Temple. Even Buddhist monks need to have their high-tech tea, I guess. Number 6. Gmail Soap. Google has been around for a long time and created lots of own brand products, whether for employees or gifts at promotional events. Some of the strangest examples include this soap, which must have been given at a Russian event given the text. Let's hope it cleans better than my email spam filter. They didn't stop there either. Check out this Google line of shampoo and conditioner, especially made for employees. While these products aren't for sale, they're interesting marketing items and good, clean fun. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Number 5. Bone Phone. Wearable tech is an interesting niche companies have been experimenting with even as far back as 1979 with this Bone Phone. Of course, there were no cell phones back then, so the name Bone Phone referred to the sound it projected. The radio speaker sound was supposed to travel through the wearer's bones to be heard internally, much like some of the hearing aid technology used today that sits on the bone behind the ear. The Bone Phone was marketed to joggers as a less bulky alternative to headphones. I guess it depended on which headphones they were referring to. Number 4. Matipi Kevin. Home security systems can be expensive and difficult to operate sometimes. With the Matipi Kevin, however, you don't have to worry while you're away. Little Kevin, named after Kevin McAllister from Home Alone, will make it appear as if someone's at home to scare away the burglars. The bandits will never know it's just Kevin at home alone. Number 3. Octagon iPhone. Apple has had to work up to what is now readily available. Take this octagonal phone for example. It was one of several prototypes that Apple was working on before settling on the rectangle with rounded corners. If you thought that was weird, check out these Hartmut Esslinger design phones conceptualized many years beforehand. Early phone designs were clearly low-tech. This model was among their first, and it's definitely been improved upon over the years. If you go back far enough, you'll see Apple created phone prototypes called the Mac phone in the 1980s. Although these units were never released, they may have paved the way for iPads. Number 2. Wag Dog Food. Amazon here again, this time dog food with their new product line called Wag, which was just launched in May of 2018. The brand comes in 5 flavors for your dog to enjoy, with the best seller so far being the salmon and lentils. These dogs are eating better than I am. However, due to several complaints of food being crushed during shipping, Amazon discontinued promoting the product until they could solve the issue. Until then, I guess Spot's going hungry. Before I reveal the weirdest product on this list, let's have a look at some fun items that weren't sold by these companies, but probably should have been. Here's an image of Google Milk Beta that's been making its way around the internet. After all, Google HQ has hired goats to keep their turf in check as a low-carbon approach to grass cutting. So why waste their milk? Next up, for all Google fans, the Google Shoe. The J9T model seen here is a real shoe made for a custom project that hasn't been marketed. Perhaps Google's trying to change surfing the net to jogging the web. Now, you may take your iPhone into the toilet, but how about sitting on an Apple toilet itself, like an iToilet? It has their logo, so I'm sure Apple's fanatics would buy it. Or what about iWater if you're feeling thirsty? They'll tell you it's a new concept with an ergonomic design, clear display, and can be recycled when you've finished recharging. Don't drink too much though, or you may have to use the iPotty. And if your current laptop is too large, the Mactini may be the solution. It only has one button and was made for a comedy skit about how the company is often preoccupied about making everything smaller, despite making it ineffective as a result. Still, I imagine Apple execs have been brainstorming a way to actually make the device, and its successor, the Mactini Nano. Finally, this last imaginary Apple device, the II, for the pirate on the go. It comes with Iris instead of Siri, an actual Retina display, and for photos, there's a program called Pink Eyes so you can share with your friends. Number 1. Google Fridge. Keep your Google milk cold in one of these really cool Google fridges. Coming in either the standard rectangular fridge design or an egg shape, each displays the cooler thinking motto and is generally just a great way to store your beer. Who doesn't want one of these? Many years back, they were offered by Google to AdWords publishers who reached 1 million clicks in their campaigns. Today, you can pick one up for $700 on eBay. So which product surprised you the most? Or would you actually like to own any of them? Let me know in the comments section down below, and thanks for watching.